So those energy performance things, yes?
Yeah.
That you see given to you when you take up a tenancy and everything else. It goes an energy performance thing from this place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite an incompetent thing, isn't it? It's very rigid, so it's probably dated a few years ago, which is bizarre. You see, a lot of people say there's this incompetence about. You hear it when you grow up. There's so many. We can pick apart all of these all day, right?
Yeah.
But that is incompetent, though, isn't it? If you think about it. For one, you're given a piece of paper that means nothing. Depends where you get it from. Are you paying these for this? And then that could be yes, then that could be looked at as waste of resource, or it could be it's just crazy to have that. But a better system that could be in play is one that doesn't identify users. All it does is identify the usage they use per month. And again, this poses a problem. So let's say if you have a row of houses and some people enter into this, it doesn't matter, you only need a few people. This makes a better nation, by the way. It really helps you in the long run. So I want to turn that off because it's distracting me a little bit. Actually, I kind of like the white noise from it. I'm going to leave it running.
Yeah, me too.
So you've got a few houses, and one agrees that this company can see the overall yearly energy.
Yeah.
So each and every year, this company starts to build a database, and you get these energy results per year, and it happens to be either higher or lower than your energy performance certificate.
Yeah.
This then gets you to create a bit more of an up-to-date performance certificate. So this person, and again, individual people have individual habits.
Yeah.
So it's only part of the picture, but it starts to work further in society, right? So on top of this, where you've asked the energy company if it's alright if we have these data for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to say 4 years. Then if you were to reach out to the tenant, maybe the tenant doesn't want to give you their time, which is fair enough. I mean, cash incentives along the way. You can get a penny off per kilowatt. You can get a couple of quid off per year if you just fill us in this. We will work out something with the energy company because the data helps. Then you can ask the tenant, what type of appliance do you have? Because your energy seems pretty cheap. And then you've got somebody else, is energy, who is in the like-for-like sort of house. So the performance is there, it's got the insulation and everything's all ticked off on its boxes. And you've got the same data from another tenant. This tenant's average bill, let's say, is more higher. And if you are able to reach out to both tenants and they give you a list of their appliances, if they could do one more, check the little label out on it to find out what its wattage is, what the manufacturer is. I mean, it seems like a little bit more, but if this has a bigger purpose in the long run, we'll get there. So I'm actively thinking ahead whilst I'm thinking of this stuff right now. So if I keep pausing, I'm just updating, that's all. So once you've then got the appliances, you can then begin to see. Perhaps one has a wash machine and the other one has a wash machine. One is cheaper than the other one. Another one is way too expensive. Now you start to get a picture. Because they both have TVs. One is burning more energy than the other, but like for like, there's not much of a difference apart from the name on the box. And what it does on the tin is probably not quite as good as it should be. Do you get what I mean? It's like, if you've got 2 wash machines, yes, okay, wash machines is a little different. You got different kilowatts per machine. It would be a great adventure for either of these companies that wanted to go green. First off, the expensive one, you would go to them and say, your equipment is burning an awful lot of energy. We're going to give you a performance certificate based on performance certificate of a house, based on environmental factor. We're going to give you a certificate. This says you're going to need to start finding some more better ways to utilize the energy that you're using per wash. That means downsizing your motors.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why people are buying it is because of how it looks, not because of how expensive it is. But there again, if you've got the money for that, you've got the money for the grid to burn that energy. That would seem weird to me, because that's like saying, if you've got the money for this, then I'm a pal with this energy company of yours, and it doesn't matter which one it is. See, it seems a bit weird that that company could be doing a deal with this company, which the energy company then funds them through, some deal, weird deal. It would seem very weird, but we've got to cover conspiracy, because, jazz it up a little bit. It would be a weird deal that costs everybody. It costs governments. It costs the people. It costs the children. If you think about it, they'll say our health is suffering because of all of this. And if that's a profitable, monetary sort of, let's cash in off him, we want their money. Let's cash off of her, we want her money. Now, let's say this company's like, screw you, go away. Well, in Britain then, for a place that created a piston ring that has been dominant in most countries all around the world, that's interesting. You think that we would do more for our citizens in order for them to create more. So you've got one that looks kind of tacky then with a shell. This company is being sold based on the way it looks, but no one's paying much mind to how much energy this thing is eating, needlessly. This company could redesign, same wash machine, different cover. When you've opened up an awful lot of wash machines in your lifetime, and I have opened up many, it's exactly the same. If I switched that case with this case, no one would know. One of the strangest things, although it doesn't all fit that well, but taking the guts out of something that's cheaper and building it up into an expensive shell is quite an interesting thing. It all falls short at the drum. But 9 times out of 10 on the back, it's a belt and motor. So the motor might need repositioning, or you need to get a change of belt when it comes to that. And the teeth, they all use different teeth around the drum as opposed to their motor. Certain ones have a bit more narrow, some are a bit more longer. They'll say, oh, what type of wash machine belt do you need? Some have this many teeth, some have that many teeth. All the way it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like for like underneath that shell, it's the same. VCR, same. It contains the fundamental parts. A car, take off a shell off of a Clio and shove it into a Lamborghini. Will it still drive? Yes. Will it still have the look profile? And then drive it out in the street, but don't tell anyone. Let's say if you could do this as an experiment, a social experiment, do you think people, when they're looking and ogling over that car, and then say, did you know there's a Renault Clio 1.1 engine in this? No, there ain't.
Yeah.
Would you still buy it at this price tag? If I could afford it, yes, I probably would. But yeah, so like for like, it's the same thing. Train's a train, bus is a bus, a needle is a needle. Think about it. Sewing needle, exactly the same as anything else. Some people are selling these at like gold. Hey, each to their own. But in a world where everyone is looking at the environment a little bit more closely, I mean, this data could go on to be something a bit more better that helps local authorities. You can start to phase out the brands that are a bit more shitter, quite frankly. A bit more guzzly on the energy. Silent inverter technology. I want to see these machines that are really guzzly. Take a quick look at that. Quickly, over the camera. What's it gonna do? Yeah, it's good. Sorry, just got distracted by a squirrel running across the fence.
Yeah, but before it adjusted, it was
with a mouthful of nuts.
Yeah.
I know how that sounds. A bit weird, a bit innocuous, but there you are. Not in this one. So, with all of this data that you get coming in, it makes you very beneficial. And you can stand there and sort of be, But yeah, it helps you phase out I don't know. I had 2 TVs that were exactly the same, right? Brand was different. The guts inside was probably slightly different. Yeah. But to look at them, one was a little bit more detailed in colour, the other one was a bit more brighter. And if I turned the colour up to a higher setting, I got that bit more detail in colour. This one I couldn't turn down the colour. Then I've got another one which I got today. It's a bit more blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite a bit blue, right?
Yeah.
And then another one is slightly more red. Even if I turn down the blue to 0, it's still too blue.
Yeah, how they have it, how they set it.
So this was the only sort of difference I had with it. Size-wise, did it still show the same freaking movie? Why, yes it did. It was close enough to be in real life that I felt like I was there. Not. But, you know, so I had these, and I got this inverter set up, solar panel. One works like a beaut on the inverter. The other one, no. As soon as I go to turn it on, so I give it a bigger inverter, a monster. Like it was just too much there for the. No, it wouldn't have it. It just wouldn't have it. And then some people were talking about pure shine, modified sign. I don't know, no idea how you say it, but there were these differences. No, it still did not work with this appliance. And what I found out was it was too low a power. So for its startup power, munched. Then this made me pay more closer attention to it. And what was really weird, in standby mode, it used more power. For whatever reason, in standby mode, increased its power consumption. It was not good. And I took it off my grid completely.
Yeah.
And my bill improved by quite a bit,
That's
actually.
what we were told when I was a kid, that standby mode in TVs and some other things is eating more, and we couldn't understand that at that time because we thought, oh, there's just that little red light or something, so you don't have to go and turn it on and then go for your remote.
I think standby mode should be more interactive with the plug socket itself. So you have standby mode is triggered, then it triggers some socket, and a sensor comes out, and you would put this either above your TV, this sensor that's connected to your socket, on a freaking phone cable. You could get this done by. You know the ones. Click that in. It's very easy, lightweight. And then click a sensor bar somewhere, put it on top of your unit, near your TV, so that it's just somewhere. When it triggers standby mode, it then sends the signal over to the socket, turn off the socket, the power to this unit. It has a battery stored in the TV. You need a battery, a 3-volt one, in order for it not to forget. It can then memorize all of that, where it was last at, whatever it was doing, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And turns it off at the socket. The socket waits for any movement in the room. When it detects movement in the room, it will then trigger the socket to then send the power back into standby mode. Then the user can then turn it on from there. I think this would be a far more better process. And radiators. Radiators. I find them, they're good, yes. But it's almost like we've put in a boiler, we've put in radiators, and then it's like, we're done. Feet up, let's have dinner.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need to do any more. And then when you look at it, you've got them in each and every room.
Yeah.
So if I'm not in a room, I'm heating the fucking thing, unless I have to go down to the radiator nozzle and
every time. That's
a pain in my ass.
Yeah.
Do you know what was a pain in my ass as well?
What?
Disconnecting everything from my solar panel inverter and then plugging everything into the plug sockets. You know, I had to do that twice a day, but it was a pain in my ass. Every day it was, oh, fucking hell. I could have left it on the solar panel. Actually, let's tell a lie. I couldn't do that. Sorry, you have to forgive me. I'm still playing around with that socket. Anyway, so, but doing this, I could have left them on there. But the thing is, I needed my panels to be higher and reach float with the inverter switched on.
Yeah.
Then plug it all over, and I got many hours out of it. If I left it on, then the sun comes up. Everything being in that standby mode wants to gobble all of that power, and you never get the battery to float plus inverter switched on. So, and then you get a really cloudy day. Hit, miss, on, off. So yeah, unplugging all of that was annoying because you couldn't have it all on one plug. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then connect this to the grid because it will overload the grid, perhaps. So That would have been simpler. No, device at a time. Now I needed different sockets.
Yeah.
So I needed an extension lead to go this way over here somewhere, and sending too much energy this way. Again, it devours it. So now I have to put it on in stages as well. But still, moving off topic quite a bit there. But radiators definitely need to look at. So for me personally, they're always near plug sockets. Have you ever noticed that? When you've got a radiator, you've got a socket.
Yeah.
Perhaps not in your bathroom, for good reason. But even still, you could have something that was outside the room that goes into the room. You know. And then your boiler could be connected to this as well. Fire up your pump.
Yeah.
So that your pump's on, then off again, on, then off again. Not so much for a thermostat. Thermostats don't make sense to me. They're in your front room. What happens if you turn off all of your radiators throughout your house, your thermostats downstairs? Yes, you get those mobile ones, blah, blah, blah. But even still. And you just want to have 2 rooms with a radiator on. You're going to put your heating on, and you're going to knacker your pump out really quickly because it's going to run on cycle. Just keep heating that. So, you know, with this device that was made with the Osiris range, remember that?
Yeah.
That something sits where your radiator is and it turns on and off your radiator. It also works with storage heaters as well. Interesting. You walk into a room, it turns on, triggers your pump to come on and feed in some water. Once the water came back to the boiler hot again on the circular, it would then turn off. Plus reading with the thermostat in the room that was connected to this device that then connects to your radiator, and a motor spins your radiator valve on, off, on. This would have been very interesting. Now, each room you walk into, and when the sensor in that stops reading someone in this room, it then turns the valve off. You ain't got to do anything. Well, you have. You got to buy the stuff. Once you've bought it, you then got to put it and set it up. After that, you do nothing else. I guarantee you, your bills will, your gas bill will go down. Your electric bill should go down.
Yeah.
And with this, then it knows when you're in the room, turn on. Okay, I know it's summertime. Okay, I know it's spring. I know it's, you know, you don't even need to do anything. It will just shut down as the year gets warmer. And the more warmer it is outside,
Yeah.
it then begins to be less needed. Perhaps there is a few cold nights. It clicks on, realizes this, because you've set up all of these in your house. You could do it via a computer, I suppose. You could do it with your smartphone. Set this temperature right now. Yeah, I'm feeling this. I want to save this temperature throughout the whole house. What about your bathroom? Just take the frost off on that one. Don't want to feel like I'm in a closet outside, you know. This would probably save your bill so much that you would have, I don't know, you could have bought 4 of these devices within a year to power it all, and that's amazing. And then the following year, you're really making into a profit. It's good for the energy company, I suppose, because you're not wasting it. You know, so all of these sort of things, I think, really need to be looked at in that way. And then it becomes not smart. It's not very smart. Closer to finished. That becomes more of a finished progress, let's say.
Yeah.
Like having a piston ring. Works really well. Has there been any improvements done to that? I reckon the answer is yes. There's different ways to play around with the piston ring. Rings? Pistons, sorry. Anyway, I was having a little look at an engine just then. With the head off.
Mental image to see.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so getting closer to being finished, but not quite. I wouldn't call that smart. Anything that changes, whether you get different heating structures, this process will always be needed. Basically a thermostat in every room. And this, although the one that you've got, like I saw the one where it was a mobile one. Yeah. I still found that a pain in the ass. Where is it? Is the batteries charged? Yeah. I'm in this room, I want to set this one up. But you still got to go and turn off all your freaking radiators. It just means that area that you're in reached its temperature. Whereas this one would know it's bedtime coming up. Little ones are coming up soon. Okay, let's get that room ready.
Mm-hmm.
Gee me, stick it to your taps, and you get into a routine of having a bath or a shower. But hey, it's already on. You just go get in there. But there again, you could be late, and it would know this because the sensor. Hang on, where the hell is he? Where is she?
Yeah. It should prompt you
Running late.
before doing.
Are you still taking your usual shower? Why, yes, I am. Back in the pocket. Makes sense having a mobile phone in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
One of those big bulky thermostats that you get with your gas boiler?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Where am I going to put it? I need a whole fucking man bag just to I don't know. So yeah, and I think this then helps everybody in Britain.
Yeah.
This brand, really good.
Huh?
And then, hey, company that is willing to try and make things cheaper but get the job done, like for like, when you've taken 2 wash machines and tried to stain 2 garments exactly the same and throw them both in the wash machine. It's amazing, isn't it? They come out clean in both of them. And sometimes they don't come out clean. But you must not blame your, wash machine for doing that. No. You blame the powder. Oh, of course, take it out on the cheaper one, which kind of isn't when you add it up over a year. So when stains don't come out, do you blame the wash machine? Oh, I'll find some powder somewhere. There is just, this stuff said it would clean my stuff. And then the manufacturer and the wash powder company and everything else in between, even the fabric company, would be like, it's your fault, you missed your mouth. Well done. It's your mum's fault. It's your dad's fault. They didn't teach you well enough. Okay. Yeah, so, wherever the blame lies, it doesn't. But, yeah, so you've got 2 machines.
Yeah.
One's a bit more expensive, looks the part. Take off the bit that looks the part, and you no longer look the part. Now I'm going to switch them up. Keep your eye on the right one. Which one is the Bosch? No, I'm just kidding. Bosch is a good brand, but yeah. And they both last like for like as well. So, after all, it's a motor.
Yeah.
And if this one here that's cheaper gets the job done, could have nice cases that stick onto this, that make it look the part, that are equally as expensive. A little bit brittle after a few years, but someone's got to make a profit somewhere. You have these interchangeable cases on them. Magnetic, why not? Perhaps not. A whole case where your wash machine goes inside a case. Oh, that looks pretty good. Why doesn't it fit? Because that was a waste of money. So you're going to make sure it's smooth into the, places that accept wash machines and that. But still, nice case, right? And some people that buy these really expensive ones go and shove them in a cupboard.
Yeah.
With all the doors shut. I like your kitchen and everything, but where the hell is everything? Where's your fridge? It's in there. That looks like a cupboard. It looks like a larder, actually.
Yeah.
And this one here, let me guess, you keep your cups in there? No. Dishwasher. Well, that's kind of right. You do keep your cups in there. That's a weird cupboard. What make is it? Because you've got this stuck to the front. I can't actually...
Yeah. People do that, don't they?
And a wash machine hidden in a cupboard. How much do you pay for that again? Literally, I'm not ego or anything. Tame it down. We'll need you in a little while. But didn't you buy that big bulky wash machine? Like some people that buy expensive cars. Want to have them slapped out laying there on the driveway. Like, hey, look at this place. We fucking got some money here. Do you get what I mean? It's not like, And then you've got your shitty little car. And you've got it in a garage somewhere. Make sure it's night before you take it out. It looks so hideous. You ought to put a garage on that thing. I know. Yes, everyone's got all their beamers all slapped out, like, sort of sticking out, slightly out on the road, sort of thing. Man, what's wrong with the rest of your driveway? Just gotta tag someone else, Look at this beam here.
Yeah, you have to walk around. You have to walk
Look at my Mercedes.
on the road for a second, so you notice the make of the car.
Again, let's take off all the cases on the cars in the street. Why? I've got to show you something. They all work. Fucking same. Yeah, but this one feels more different. So if I took a Clio car, not saying that Clios are bad, by the way. I actually happen to like Clio. Anyway, and I put a BMW shell on it, or a Mercedes shell on it, Do you think people will say, God, this car drives really well? And they didn't know that it was a Clio, you know, take off all of those brand labels. Oh my God, it was the smoothest thing I ever rode. Overall. We'll tick all the boxes in this one. Do you think they'd ever notice? Do you think that it's the car that feels good, or do you think it's people perception? Bit like time. Time is real. It is real, I tell you. What, the thing that goes tick, tick, tick? Yeah, time, I guess, is kind of real. But perception of time
It's not.
is completely different. It is.
It's dynamic.
It's very. Some people call time linear. Wait. I might be confusing myself. Hang on. What's linear?
Going one way, action and after action and after action and consequence after consequence going with that.
Ah, so isn't the brain the best time machine ever?
It is.
In this now moment, you can go back into the past just by shutting your eyes.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So your brain is time machine.
Yeah.
Even in this now moment, I can shut out all of the now and go back in time. I can also look into the future doing the same process.
Or you can
There you are. Wonderful.
fantasize something, some other worlds and places, and
Even
be
things
there.
that aren't true.
Yeah.
This world is wild. Everyone is wild. Not like the West, like wild, like an animal wild. Ooh. Anyway, so back in the trees we go. I'm kidding. So, do you reckon we were creatures that were around hydrothermal vents in the ocean, and then ended up being around volcanoes when we left the ocean, and then sort of give up on all the whole hydrothermal? Oh wait, no, we didn't. Gas heating, fire. Anyway, no, we very much seem to have kept hold
No,
of this.
we took it with us, didn't we?
Yeah,
The fire
We took the
and
fire.
the warmth, or stayed in really hot climates as well.
Do you think we were gathered around like a volcano sort of thing? And it was like, me, we'll go over there. And everyone's like, oh, you go over there. Whoa. No,
Yeah,
you go over
or
there.
people around thermal areas where there is not visible volcano, but you have hot water springs, and then it steams out of the earth somewhere, so it's like warm area. Even though if there is volcano, it's not like something big that you have to climb. Yeah.
Yes, it can go underground as well.
Yeah.
But even still, life probably cling to that. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
Humans, the microbial beings. Literally, aren't we full of microbes?
Yeah.
Eyelashes, eyebrows,
Yeah.
in the hair, even some stuff. We've got
Inside.
so much that we've got. So we are microbial.
Yeah, we have bacteria inside us that works with our intestines and.
Where did we come from? Did we come from the lizard? Or did we come from the monkey? Monkey come from lizard? We come from monkey?
Who knows?
Let's go back even further. Microbial. You started a new band? No, I was gonna label an STI. No? Okay, yeah, anyway, microbial, let's say, you know. Man, going back that far. So how far have we managed to go back? We're still stuck on whether we're lizards or apes. It's commonly accepted that we're apes. I'm shaking this science tree. Is that the best you can come up with? This is as far back as we can go? We can't go any further back than that.
Yeah, I think we go in the tree of life to microbes only.
Never seen it.
No?
No, I can't say I have. Is this it?
Yeah, they will tell you that we come from monkeys because that's. But it goes
Then I'll ask the
further.
question, why is it still the debate?
Yeah.
If that is all certain, why the debate?
Well, right now we are mammals, so we come from some mammals more than lizards.
Could it be wrong?
No?
We come from mammals more than lizards.
Lizards are further in the past. They say now, I don't know, because they need to heat themselves, and then mammals came and were able to, were warm-blooded and carried their babies in their wombs instead of having eggs. And
So to microbes,
that's what they say.
what works better, freezing or heating?
It depends on the microbes, doesn't it, as well? some are living under the Antarctica, aren't they, or Arctica, and under the ice in those cold waters. Some plankton.
I would
and-
say one thing that makes microbial really work well, I'm going to let you into a little secret. It's so obvious. What is the one thing that every single living thing shares? Temperature. You are hotter than space. Gonna take your claim to fame? What's that? We were hotter than space. Well, you are.
Yeah.
You produce more heat than, well, space doesn't, but you are producing heat. You're a collection of microbials that seem to do well with heat, not too well with cold.
Yeah.
There's a funny thing when we're looking at these two different things like that, whether it's going to be hot or cold.
Yeah.
Do you know what the one thing is that always happens? Evolution never happens in these two extreme ends.
No.
No. So you've got one extreme being the cold. Sure, some will adapt, and to the cold, heat, and cold.
Yeah.
Will adapt in these ratios.
Uh-huh.
But when it turns center again,
Yeah.
that's when you have the biggest explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So when you freeze something with bacteria on it, let's say, or microbial life on it, and you freeze it out,
Yeah.
then you take it out of your freezer and leave it on the side in the warm,
Mm-hmm.
what happens? It rots quicker. What happens after you've cooked it?
It lasts longer when you cook.
What happens if I then take that with all that disgusting on it and put it back in the freezer? And then out the freezer, in the freezer, out the freezer, in the freezer, out the freezer, in the freezer, then cook it and eat it? I'd be very sick.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? So what happens if I keep putting it in fire and taking it out, putting it in fire, taking it out, putting it in fire, taking it out? Would it still have the same ratio effect when it reached, we say, room temperature? Would it still have that same explosion? So isn't it the bacteria explodes quicker once something has been repeatedly? So technically by freezing you're not killing.
Yeah. They are slowing down. Yeah.
Slowing down, yes.
Yeah, that's what's in.
Interesting. So it needs a right sort of temperature compared to most things in space.
Yeah.
A bit like Goldilocks in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Earth seems to be more so teeters on that, what everyone would dub the Goldilocks zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It seems to always bounce in this middle ratio. So looking for life, you need to find that middle. Not too hot, not too cold. Something that reaches both of these. So can you cause evolution then by keep colding and then reaching a center and then overheating back to center, overcooling, reaching center? You see this working with bacteria in a freezer and different things like that. And into a fire, but you're not being cooked. So you would just want to warm up slightly more than room temperature the chicken. It's a bit morbid to use it, but it's understandable. And when it reaches that middle, which is cooled off from being too hot, it then reaches the freezer, perhaps not frozen, just colder, and then back to the heat again. But each time reaching the middle. So the middle ratio will be the most explosive. Therefore, anything that was on that would have more evolutional changes, I believe, when it reaches that middle again.
Yeah.
And that's when you get the big changes that happen. What do you reckon would grow from all of that? What's the potential that could grow from that? Well, you wouldn't know straight away.
Yeah.
Mix that with the others.
Yeah.
And give it an even more bigger platform. And then if this one becomes the most dominant, well, then we'll see changes. Perhaps all the way up. Who knows? I don't know. Just thinking out the box, it always has to reach this neutral where it's neither hot nor too cold. Neither too hot, neither too cold. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
That's then when you see the biggest explosion, and life would explode more when you reach the middle peak. When you've come from the not too hot, or you've come from the not too cold, ice age, hot age. Each time one happens, either or, there is massive changes on the planet. But only when it starts to return to the neutral zone. Has anything, the question I ask, has anything survived? the full cycle
Yeah.
and back, which kind of draws an M or a W, depends on which way you go.
Yeah.
Gives you a trinity. The extreme ends and the
And
neutral, which is neither cold nor hot. See, it's neither, and Earth seems to reach this environment. So if you have a drink in a bottle, water, and you have it out in the sun and it all condensates and gets really hot, and then it cools off, and then it gets cold like at night. You've got the same sort of cycling that you never seem to reach in the middle. Sunrise, sunset, probably your peak moments. So we've got these sort of cycles going off inside even bigger cycles. I think this is what the clock hints at. This one is turning much more than this overall clock. And then your body clock, or heat, temperature, not too hot, not too cold, and to switch these ratios up. Have you ever wondered why your body puts so much energy and effort into A, when you get hot, keeping you cool? It always tries to maintain this very familiar temperature.
Yeah.
You ever wondered why the body spends so much time and energy and effort into doing that? Whereas it could just get to your brain, make you complacent, and make you move very slowly. Do you see that it has full control over you? You have no control over it as you are being incubated.
Yeah.
It could rewrite your mind to move slower and really impede your ability to move. But it didn't. It decided to grow with you and be able to cool you down and also be able to heat you up.
Yeah.
So it gave you that movement. But it always tries to keep you in this temperature ratio. And too much and too little is very bad for you.
Yeah.
Why though? You see, there's the question mark. Why? Well, it stops you from dying. No, I think it's more than that. I think that when you reach the certain envelopes of either or either, see, people when they get hypothermia, very rarely come out of it. Never noticed that. And when they reach a certain stage, well, that's it. Do you think that is to protect the overall species? How many microbes would be out of sync? How many would have mutated in that?
Yeah.
And it's same likewise when people get way too hot. How many things begin to get out of sync or out of alignment? See, in order for death to happen, there has to be a reason for it. You ever notice that? That's probably one of the strangest things to accept. That death always has a reason. It's always got an answer as to why this had to stop. But some of it doesn't make sense. That you know about. And therefore, there would be an intelligence level in that knows more than you. Knows more than your collective so far. Because it's got a reason. Well, why is that reason? Well, because of wear and tear. That's not good enough. That's a cover me up. No. Cracking that reason and finding a way to stop it would be an interesting thing. What would happen? What does it know that you don't? And we'll say, well, what about age? It's bollocks. You think if you could crack the secret of the reason for death, age would be a piece of piss. It wouldn't be that difficult. You ever wondered that the mind slows down? Perhaps people still feel the same. But again, do you still feel time the same? Oh yeah, I felt time all the same all the way through my life, people say. Does it get quicker or faster? I hear the people saying that it's like really fast when they were a kid and then it slows down. But when I look back, do you remember all the long days? Do you remember all the quick days?
Long days at school, sitting, biting the pencil and listening to the teacher and being bored.
But when you look back, you're under an illusion that it was slow because your brain is telling you that that was a slow day.
Yeah.
But you are not actually feeling that time slowness when you look back.
Yeah.
The memory seems to be just as quick as an excited one, if you were to look through the day. Snapshot's been saved, snapshot's been saved, and it sort of flicker into a weird memory book. Shades of grey, bits missing, perhaps the backdrop or the classroom. You'll probably just remember your eyes out and the tip of the pencil. If you could give me details of that room, you'd probably struggle. You need to think about it, but you just remember that one part of you being in that environment. But when you look back at that, did it seem like any time has fluctuated over your life? When looking back, all the way through it in that moment. Because to me, I'm aware that yes, it has gone slow and fast on certain days, but I can't see it when looking back over my life.
Time is going fast as you grow old because you have more days behind you, sort of. I don't know.
But individually, when I look at those days within the segment of the life story, there are moments where you pull out those slides and then look into this one over here, pop the glass vial and off you go. You'll notice then in this one, this one was a slow day. Is that because the mind has told you that that was slow? For me, it just flags as boring, uninteresting. I got it a lot when I was in certain areas, just so uninterested. So yeah, I guess that was probably the hot topic, and then some of them, oh yeah, this was a good day, yeah, that was a good day, that was interesting, this was interesting, that was interesting. And then once done, it's done. It's no longer interesting anymore. Well, even if you call that, or piques curiosity, or warrants neating. I don't know. Very well organised. Anyway, really got off topic on this one. I kind of like that. It gives it a certain edge.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd expect from Sharpie.
Sharpie?
Might as well give it the Sharpie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, alright then. I'm going to leave this one here because I think we covered all I needed to. Yeah.